is the king of breakfast shows on Liberty Radio.
Good morning and glad to be with you on the program Issues and Events. This morning on the program Issues and Events, we will be looking at rebooting Nigeria. Rebooting Nigeria. Now, this all came about where we had Senator Tijani Ayakaura, Chairman, Senate Committee on Federal Character and Intergovernmental Affairs, addressing members of the legislative arm and, of course, the executive at the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies School in Jos. Now, the need to reboot Nigeria. What came to mind, about rebooting Nigeria, like we all know, when you reboot, simply means you want to restart or, do it again. So, what went wrong and why the need to reboot Nigeria? Simply, again, tells me that something had been wrong with Nigeria as we're carrying it on, and so the need to steer the ship in the right direction. That's what we'll be looking at this morning, rebooting Nigeria and the need to have that done now. My guest in the studio this morning is Mr. Sami Ihejirika. Mr. Sami Ihejirika is the CEO, Strategic Empowerment and Management Agency, Mediation Agency, SEMA. And we'll be sharing thoughts with him this morning. Sami, good morning. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
My colleagues are also here with me, Andrea and Lola. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, rebooting Nigeria. Let's just do it in the studios before we get to our guest this morning. Briefly, rebooting Nigeria. Yeah, and when it came to mind, just hearing the word reboot tells me of a computer system that you have to take all over again. Is that the problem with Nigeria, that we have to reboot it now?
Rebooting Nigeria. Wow. Yes, we have quite a number of issues. Issues I ordinarily would think that we need to, just like the popular military term, use retreat, re-strategize, and find a way forward. I'm thinking that probably was what he had in mind when he made that statement about rebooting Nigeria. We're not going to say Nigeria is not where we want it to be at the moment. Yes, this journey started away from the amalgamation. This journey started in 1960. And we would have expected to be at a better place today, but that is not the case. Well, in the case of rebooting Nigeria, I don't know. There's a time I actually asked the question that, do you hit the reset button in Nigeria and all of that? I got some very funny reactions, but I think as a nation, we actually need to just go back, retreat a little bit, re-strategize, and then find a way forward. That's how I would like to see it.
Wow.
I believe that for the fact that we're talking about rebooting, restructuring, and all of that, it means that there must have been problem on the way, because even in a computer system, if all is working well, if the phone is not hanging or misbehaving, then there will be no need to restart. So the mere fact that we're talking about rebooting already dictates the fact that something is fundamentally wrong, and if we continue this way, it's still using the computer language, just myself, crash totally. So,
all right, talking with my colleagues here, I got some words. Now, Andrew said you probably will talk about reset.
Retreat.
Okay, retreat, and then re-strategize, and also reset. Now, Lola looked at it that the way we're going, or the way the computer system is going, if it's misbehaving, misbehaving. So I'm guessing that you need to reset, readjust so that it does not crash. Now, these are keywords for me: misbehaving. Has the country been, getting the system right? Has it been misbehaving? And does it need research? Well, all of that is coming under rebooting Nigeria. Mr. Sami Yejirika.
Yes.
And this is talking to our legislative arm of government and, of course, leaders of this country. They need to reboot Nigeria.
That's right. Well, I'm happy that this is coming from a senator. And he's trying to tell us that so many things are wrong, and that we need to begin to readdress these issues. And there was a letter written a memo written by Rufai recently. I don't know whether it is true or not that he wrote that stuff.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's all over.
But you could also hear the same kind of song, in that letter, that things are not just working. And of course, again, you listen to the people. Everybody's crying, food. Today, people are complaining about the price of rice, but they felt more concerned about food not being on the table and so on and so forth. So I think that the language is more of a digital language, and when you use it, you're talking to the younger generation who understand what putting and re-putting means, But for the ordinary layman who doesn't have access to this digital language or whatever, rebooting might mean a completely different thing to them, But the issue is that things are wrong, and we need to just have to do something about them. So where do we start doing these things? Just to change things around, turn things around from the way they are.
Yeah, and that's a good one for me to take on. Where do we start?
Exactly. So many ideas, so many people have been saying, analyzing the problem. Sometimes I get really concerned. If you go to the church or the mosque or everywhere, people are analyzing. We know what the problem is. We know what the problem is, and how do we address this problem? How? Because each time you bring up an issue, the two-faced media wants to demonstrate, which is good. So they say, no, it's against government. Or you speak somewhere, people say they will arrest you, for doing that, and so on. So where do we begin to make this change? So that is the question. So the question now is that not everybody knows that things are wrong, but how do we get this problem solved? So I think that's why the reboot issue starts.
Now, also one area again that comes to mind, in all of this is the way the restructuring that people are calling for. When you say you want to restructure, what are the things you're looking at? People say that of course, in this country we've had national conferences, and people have, from different parts of the country have come out with the idea of how to move this country forward. But again, these issues have not been addressed, and so we are just not, taking it up from what Nigerians feel about how to move the country forward.
I think this current generation of politicians should be blamed for what is going on, because they've not shown any element of compassion for the people they are representing. They have not empathized, particularly the presidency and so on. They have not even empathized with the people. And empathy means you must listen to the people. So, question of getting things done, people analyzing, I think we're getting tired of that. We're really getting tired. People must sit down and talk. Now, look at this region of the country. Things are not working. You see the number of kids who are out there in the streets. Nobody's caring for them. About 16 million children. Nobody's doing anything about that. And you think that these guys now are the guys who are going to suddenly change, to make those kids go to school. They will not. Look at, for the past 2, 3, 4 weeks in the National Assembly, we've been discussing very trivial things. They must wear uniform. And this is disrespectful and so on and so forth. Of course, I still blame the presidency for not calling his people to order, because the Senate is one of the key institutions in this country and must be respected. So they have this oversight function, and for no reason whatsoever must you disobey the senior when they say come. It's a different thing. Ceremonially, you can wear uniform and go there and find your way to sell your idea. It doesn't cost you anything. But to be stubborn, to show that you are stubborn and disrespectful to the authority, to the institution we respect and not, means you are putting the individual way ahead of the institutions. And that's why our institutions are not working. Because we tend to celebrate personalities and so on and so forth. And anybody who gets in there wants us to see that he's a guy in power. That he can say and do and undo. So these people now are not the people who can bring about this change. But if they start it from themselves, and show that they mean business, then we can go along. But ordinarily, I think that the Nigerians have been fooled a lot. And it's high time, we use our votes. I keep combating for that. We must use our votes effectively. So if people think are not working for you, you cry about rights, you cry about everything. When it's time to go do the right thing.
The president, Muhammad Buhari, has talked about change, and of course we do know his position about change, that it begins with you, and it begins with me. But again, and he has made his position very clear on that he wants this country to move forward. But again, people talk about those surrounding him, that how well have they keyed into the change that he wants.
People always miss a point. If you don't just talk about people around the president, then the problem. The box stuff on the president. If I want to be prepared, I know where I want to go. And if you're not coming along with me on that journey, I throw you away. So, you say, the people around the president.
You are not saying that the president condones this.
If you allow those kind of things to distract from your focus, from getting the job done, then you're not serious. You're not serious. So you don't let these little things, people around you distract you or bring bad name to your governance. Buhari, as a person, from all we've had, he's an upright guy, he's a serious guy. But when you look away, and people around you, we say you are condoning. You are part of it. So they must demonstrate that he's in charge, and that these people must respect the government. So if people disrespect our president, we will not like it. We'll be very unhappy about it. So also, if the president's men disrespect the assembly and so on and so forth, this is democracy, and we must begin to show from this little thing that happened in there that governance is going the way it should go for the people. But we see all these distractions, nothing is getting done, quarreling and so on and so forth. So when we see a creative idea, a good one, we know. But as it is, things have not been working well. The dose on the medicine we've been using so far are not the correct dose, are not the correct medication. So we must find something new.
We will also look at when it all started, the journey all started. Yes, there could be some forms of corruption and all of that, but again, the magnitude that it had taken today was not something that we could look at the past. And could that be the reason why that it worked so well for us, and so it stopped at the time? And people say again, why did Obasanjo have to change the system of government at that time? Was it, looking at his own, from his selfish point of view, or was it looking at collective Nigeria to make it work?
I think Obasanjo saw Nigeria as looking like resembling the United States of America. At some point, somebody said this is the United States of Nigeria and things like that. Because that diversity is just there and looks like so much like what's in the United States, So I think that Obasanjo had a dream, he had an idea, which of course it's not an absolute idea. When you brought the idea, these ideas were debated and they were discussed. So, but the problem is, maybe we didn't take into cognizance the environment and the context in which we're implementing the American system of government. In America, they have capital, they have technology, and these are very critical to the success of a democracy, particularly within their own context. But here we don't have the capital, we don't have the technology, but we try to do things like the American. So I think that somehow, as we go along, we're learning our lessons, seeing the pitfalls, and that we'll be able to adjust, and come up with a system that works very well for us. And we cannot do it, nobody can do it unilaterally. The president cannot by himself do it. The assembly by themselves alone cannot do it. And they need to hear from all the people as to how this can be done, because there are so many ideas that are there. And of course, that good ideas, successful ideas could be found in the most unlikely places,
Yeah, you talked about the people. Yeah, again, this is where I bring the people in. Have we had just, gullible people that will just take anything and then allow it to go? Are we a people that demands for accountability and
we're afraid?
Afraid.
People are afraid.
Of wonder what they're afraid of.
Losing their lives, losing their means of livelihood, being the scapegoats. So there are so many things out there that tend to make people become apathetic to the system, even though we don't like what's going on. But who champion the cause?
Are you saying we do not have people that can sacrifice for Nigeria?
Well, yeah, but
it's good and
what's the benefit? I mean, elsewhere where people put their lives on the line, for countries, you see that the country looks after them, So when you have a country that at the end of the day doesn't look after it, they don't even care. Look at the number of people dying. Are there things being done to assuage the pain of these families? We hear herdsmen have killed 50. Loss of human life, it doesn't mean anything to us anymore. They kill 50 there, they kill 100 there, they kill that. Is the government doing anything to attempt to empathize with these people? No. So why would you put your life on the line for this country? They will remember you. Look at even the guys who have made this country proud. They've served this country in different capacities, put us on the map. When they retire, when they're out of the game, nobody remembers them. So things don't look up, they don't really look up. Look at the big men. They have big cars, all kinds of things cheap. When they road to their home, they raise doors and drive chicken away and to get into their homes. They drive through poor neighborhoods, and they don't even care. They don't care. So it's a very difficult thing for the citizens because they've been so batterized, they've been so brainwashed. But the politicians are doing all this for their own personal benefits. I don't know how we can get the people to realize this. Every time we complain, they're not giving us rights. The power lies with you. You see what happened in the US with the Obamacare bill. The Republicans turned against the president. If we endorse what you're saying, we're not going to get votes back home. We'll be thrown out. So, which means that there's people power. They look back and say, hey. So here we don't have that power. Everybody is scared. Everybody's afraid. They catch you for no offense. They lock you up, even without trial. You'll be in the detention far more than you'll be if you are jailed. These are unfair to the citizens of this country. So that change must start with this guy who said this thing, Senator Chairman. Yes, it should start with that. I hope he would come up one day with asking questions on what he has said and how he himself and his group of people who are in legislative houses will begin to make this thing happen. So they put this country.
Let's look at the legislative houses for a moment. Some people are of the opinion that Nigeria is not in a situation where we can keep maintaining or paying for 36 legislative houses across the country.
Right.
What is the option then if we're left? Because you hear in states that, look, civil servants have not been paid, yet legislators are paid at state level, at federal level, are paid. So obviously this is milking the states and of course the federal government as well. So if we're to look at, restructuring and putting representation in another form, what would be the option?
Well, they say, like I said, people need to talk about this. There are all kinds of ideas flying out there. And, people have been so skeptical about this term, restructuring. Restructuring doesn't necessarily mean breaking up Nigeria. It involves economic restructuring, like we're discussing. It also involves a political restructuring. But looking at the political restructuring, which is very important, because some of the laws that will facilitate the other kinds of reform will come from the House. So if you want to cut down the size of the House, you want to reduce the emoluments of legislators, who is going to pass that law? Those guys. Do you think they will do it?
But you keep insisting that the power lies with the people.
Yeah, but I think if you leave it to them alone, do you think they will do it? They will not do it. Now, like you said, we can't count the number of times we've had national conferences. We can't count the number of times we've attempted to amend the Constitution. We spend so much money doing that, and every year it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Which tells you that those in power right now don't want this change to happen. Why would the state governors deny the local government their resources? Why wouldn't they let the local government exist? Even though it's in the constitution that the local government is the third arm of government. Why? Because of self-aggrandizement. So, these current guys there, if you want to do these nice things we're talking about, they have to make the law. So, do we think that they can really make this law to disenfranchise themselves? That's the question.
Now, we have said that at some point during the independence, we tried the parliamentary system of government. There were complaints here and there.
Yeah.
But presently, in the presidential system of government, and still there's complaints, as expensive and all of that. Are we not the problem ourselves? Because there's a dual system of government that worked for various people across the world. Apparently, it doesn't seem to work in Nigeria.
That's right. Yeah, maybe we have to pick something from both. We still have to work on our system to get the kind of system that we really deserve. So we cannot go strictly by the American style. Like I said, it depends on technology and capital, and we don't get that. The British system has come a very long way in the way they organize it. The German system is different. But what I see here is a situation where the winner takes all. And it has been a huge problem for us. That once you can manage to get your man in there, then you expect that everything is for you and not anybody else. I think it's one of the challenges we have. That even if we are going to adjust, there are little adjustments we can make here and there. That no one single party can form a government. You must find some other smaller parties or whatever to make it a certain percentage. So that we don't have this question of APC is in power, and then everybody runs from APC, run from PDP into APC. Even though APC is sinking, people are still running into APC because they think when they get in there, the crimes they committed elsewhere else will not be punished for it. That's the assumption. So we need to look at such an option. Should we really have this huge, should we reduce the salary of these people? Should we make it that people are selfless? Should we pay for houses for senators and so on and so forth? Give them on huge allowances. In the States, they don't pay for accommodation for senators. They find their own homes. Some of them sleep in their offices. They come weekend and they go. These are people who are willing to serve, not for the benefit they're getting. That's why some of them have been there for 26 years, 36 years. Because they're serving and they have the interest of their people at heart. So if we want to make these changes, do these guys who can help us make these changes?
Now, some people have said, or an analyst said, that we have three major problems.
Yeah.
One, religious, tribalism, and respect for rule of law. That if we can eliminate these three, all our problems would go.
Sure.
How true is that?
You're right. But again, how do we deal with this issue? It's been there for a long time. And who introduces issues in our system? Who are responsible for these issues? It's not the people, it's the politicians. Maybe so. We saw cross-carpeting in those days, where the people just move based on ethnicity.
But at the end of the day, the people still vote the person.
Yeah, but is it on that duress or is it voluntarily? Most people don't vote voluntarily in Nigeria. You are cajoled or you are intimidated into voting for somebody. If you go to Anambra, for example, if you don't bring truckloads of money, you are not there. So even if you want to do something according to your will, they'll force you with money to do something different. And that's why they keep struggling for this money to have it so that they can influence you. But can Nigerians for the first time make sacrifices now to celebrate later on? Can we ever make sacrifices now so that we can celebrate afterwards? No.
Let's look at the political scene again. The INEC has come out with a template or date rather for the 2019 elections.
Right.
Now there's been widespread talk about two suggestions about two political parties, as we saw back in 1992 with the NRC and the SDP. But as at last count, there are over 80 associations. Yes, requesting for registration of political parties. Now one would say that this is democracy. And looking at both side by side, what would be your suggestion in ensuring that, okay, are you going with a two-party state, two-party system, or multiple parties?
Yeah.
Which do you think will work for us?
I think, first of all, the government should stop sponsoring parties. I don't know whether they still do that. because there's a certain amount of money they give to parties, to shut them up. And I've seen guys, who want to rent one apartment somewhere, put their signboard there, so they can get this subsidy from government. So I think that somewhere along the line, some of these parties will fizzle out. If you don't register them, they'll say, "Oh, you're Muslim democracy." But if you register them, they will reflect that in time. And I think also that we're seeing a movement now where parties want to come together to fight a cause. So if your ideology, which I don't think most parties have, synonymous or coincides with the ideology of some other parties, or something like close to their seeming ideology, they can all come together and strengthen one with themselves and then win elections. And that's part of what I was saying earlier on, that no single party should form the government. So you look at these small parties, if they can win a seat here, there, you can lobby them and come together with them to meet the criterion for setting up a government.
Without them necessarily defecting.
Yeah, but if we have this in the law, if we have this in the law, that no one single government, a party can form a government, that you must score this number of percentage, and that you must seek this number of percentage from parties outside yours. You get what I'm saying? So in that case, it becomes mandatory that no matter what you do, you will not exceed the certain percentage of the votes to be in government. And if you get that, then you still have to amend about 10% or 20% more to harness, to be able to be in government. So I think some of this could be checks and balances, making sure that this issue of defection and people running from one party to the other and so on and so forth would stop.
We're still talking about rebooting. I still want to go with that. Reboot, kickstart, start it all over again. At one time, Nigeria was working. And even at present time, it's not as if we're, as a standstill. We're still moving. And the government has introduced, some measures into how this country can go. We see that. Is it that we are not moving with the right speed, or we are just not, we're too slow with it? But to say that rebooting and starting it all over.
No, like I mentioned this morning, there's a lot of mediocrity. And incompetence going on. There's so much mediocrity and incompetence. Look at the recruitments going on in the services now. They recruit people secretly, and we don't even know whether these people they're recruiting qualify, to be recruited. So you see people who don't have the right skill, the right knowledge, and the confidence to run a particular system, and you find them there. So what do you get? Mess up. So we keep on complaining that the government is not working, the people are not. Do they really know what they're doing? You're on the radio, and you've learned to be on the radio. So anywhere they put you on the radio, you will do very well, and you can improve on it. But if you don't have any experience in piloting, you can't just hop into the plane and fly it. So we see lots of people who are not qualified, who don't have the experience, who don't have the skill, the knowledge, holding on positions that people's lives depend on. I remember a case of a youth called doctor. They bought certificates to, they paid his way to go to school. So when he came out, he was doing housemanship during a service in one hospital. So they asked him to come and do a minor surgery. So he picked up that, and the nursing sister, the midwife was there. He picked up the scalpel and then cut this guy. And immediately the blood came out, he started to cry. He started weeping. And the nurse said, "Okay, what is it?" He said, "No, I can't look at this." And they had to rush, call some other doctor to come and do this job. So you can imagine where you left this patient in the hands of this very doctor, maybe at night, and when there's nobody else to, what would happen. So there are lots of people like that in the system. And this goes on and on and on. I mentioned this earlier on. Our school system, exam malpractices going on through the university and so on and so forth. So you see lots of people in government now, I bet you, they don't know what they're doing. They don't have the knowledge. And that's why we're in this mess. If you see countries where people who are knowledgeable are in charge, things work very well. You know how to manage people. You know how to move, resources. You know how to galvanize opinions and things like that. But we don't see that happening here. So, rebooting. We must restore power to the people. I think that's where it can start very effectively without much disruption.
Okay, issues and events, and we'll go for a commercial break. When we come back, we'll get ready to take your calls and get your reaction to the case of rebooting Nigeria.
This is the King of Breakfast Shows on Liberty Radio. Is the King of Breakfast Shows on Liberty Radio.
Welcome back, issues and events this morning, and we're looking at rebooting Nigeria. Now, probably didn't work at the time, or we probably got it good time, and then somewhere along the line, we began to lose focus, and so the need to reboot Nigeria. And Mr. Sami Ihejirika, CEO, Strategic Empowerment and Mediation Agency, with us in the studios. Time to take your calls and numbers to call.
Alright, please call the numbers 0808-573-0911 and 0906-112-6906.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Mr. Kintude from Cow.
Okay, Mr. Kintude, alright.
This program is very important and at the right time. Thank God that you are bringing this matter up like this. But it's very unfortunate that since independence in Nigeria, we have never had this so bad like this. This government happens to be one of the worst and the most unserious one, in a very serious note.
Would that be fair, Mr. Kintude?
They shut down Nigeria economically and they were fighting corruption, fighting insurgency. Good and fine. But what happened afterwards was that Nigeria continued to suffer up till now. And instead of them to address the matter of Nigerian welfare, they are fighting among themselves and they are disobeying the rule of law, disobeying Nigerian people, disobeying the constitution of Nigeria. And they are persecuting themselves. The sycophants and the passengers, they are not helping matters as well. They didn't allow President Muhammad Buhari and his team to know that things are very bad in Nigeria. And we are talking about democracy here. They carry our democracy and drop them and dump democracy in the dustbin. And they turn our democracy into totalitarian dictatorship. And we have been shouting for long time that we cannot continue like this. But those passengers who are dancing at the justice of the Nigerian people, they didn't allow the government to set it down to business. That's very unfortunate. For us to reboot this our democracy and the country by 2019, God will give us the glory, a better platform, and the courage to Nigerian people to reboot this country back into part of prosperity and well-being. Because for now, we are tired. And we are telling this government that by 2019, by the grace of God, they should be ready to go.
Well, that's your, again, Mr. Kintude, that's your opinion. Thank you very much. That's your opinion, and please, we also like to tell our callers that we would be civil with our comments. While taking opinions, we would be civil with our opinions too. Still taking your calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Yole.
Good morning.
Good morning, This is Emmanuel from Kaduna.
Okay,
Your guests have said it all. We have the wrong people hiding an appointment, a place that is supposed to deliver, but they are not doing anything.
Again, the question I ask, Emmanuel, making sweeping statements, does it help this conversation? I mean, sweeping statements like,
okay,
yes.
Let me withdraw that statement. Let me ask you this. I think it is, if you agree with me, that's my own opinion. I think there is no better time to restructure this country than now. And if we restructure the country, will it be a way that will come out from all these crises that we're having now? Okay. So that's just my question to you.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. We'll take one more and then we come back to our guest. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
It is Camille from Ando.
Okay, Camille.
Yes. Let me appreciate your guest. My contribution, restarting, rebooting Nigeria, whichever one. If we restart it or we reboot it, who are we handing over? Is it not the same corrupt leaders? Any society
that indiscipline, corruption, immorality, impurity, and any society that is morally discomposed, morally reset and depressed, such society will find ourselves in the hands of corrupt leaders as we have in this country. Whether we restart, reboot anyone, if we don't change our morals, the way we think, and unite ourselves and forget this, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Yoruba man, I'm a Hausa man, I'm a Igbo man, we will continue crumbling.
Okay, Kamil, I also ask you, what is your contribution to rebooting Nigeria? What would be your own contribution to rebooting Nigeria?
Mr. Tony, you know me very well. My own contribution is using my time to call liberty.
Just that.
Yes, you knew that I don't have job. I'm usually in here and I don't have job. You know that. You are aware of that.
Yes.
So I'm helpless.
Okay. All right. We got you on that. Thank you, Kamil. All right. I come back to my guest in the studio. Sammy, you had that. What rebooting means for some Nigerians.
I think he made a very good point that he's jobless and he's using airtime to call you every time. That's a very good point the guy made there, in the sense that he wants his voice to be heard, and this is the only way he can make his own contribution, by buying airtime and calling you. So he's contributing, and if he says things which his personal opinion and he thinks that those are the things that should be able to help us move forward, then we will look at it. He said no idea is good or bad until you put that idea to test. So the tendency is most times that we shut down good ideas because we've not seen it before. We're not experienced. We don't have experience with that idea or whatever. Because it came out something completely new and strange to us, then it could be a bad idea. But going to what somebody said, would restructuring solve our problems? Of course, yes. We're asking for restructuring because we think it will solve the problems. Now, take the problem of jobs. The World Bank says we need about 40 million jobs within the next 10, 15 years for us to begin to solve our problem. And what is it there about jobs? Now, when people have jobs and they have an income, then they will take back this income into the community and spend this money within the community. So wealth is generated and recycled within this community. Now, if there is restructuring, the dependency syndrome we have now on the federal government will disappear. That is, you see states that are so unproductive. All they do is wait for government every quarter to go and pick up money, and when they get the money, they pocket it, and they can't pay their workers. They can't pay pensions. All that kind of stuff. If states are not viable, then we merge them with other states. If zones are not viable, then we find a way to make it work. There are lots of minerals, there are lots of expertise, there are lots of knowledge wasting out here, everywhere. So people don't need to run cap in hand to the government, for the government every time, So if, let's say, we go into mining, agriculture, take it all the way downstream, what do you call it, improve on what we produce, not just producing corn and eating the corn in the street and throwing the hob away, It's not going to help us. You cannot develop by carrying your cattle through the bushes in the country, destroying farms everywhere. It's never done anywhere. That means we are trivializing our sense of animal husbandry and dairy industry. Denmark, for example, is one of the big world powers of today because of dairy. Cattle. There's nothing they don't make out of dairy. But we use our own to cause trouble here. Carrying this in through farms, destroying food that these people citizens need. Instead of thinking how we can use this cattle to make it to be a revenue earner for the country in a very huge manner. So if we focus on what resources people have in different areas and see how we can maximize them. I give you an example of Mbakwe. In those days when he was governor of Imo State, he built a cottage industry in all the local governments. Every local government had a cottage industry. And they were employing thousands of people. So restructuring, if we do it properly, would help in improving the economy. If, like say in the US, Texas is known for oil business. California is known for its Silicon Valley and so on and so forth. If you think you are skilled in computers and you move from Texas or anywhere else and go to Silicon Valley and get a job. If you think you are good in oil business, go to Texas. or whatever, that's oil. So this whole thing about Nigeria and looking at the economic and the political side of restructuring, it boils down to what you are saying: reducing the size of the legislative houses, reducing emoluments, weakening the presidency a little bit, so the president doesn't have all the kind of huge executive powers, dictatorial powers he could have. Restructuring the way parties are organized, how elections are organized. Restructuring, allegiance. So many things can happen within the political system. Giving more autonomy to the local governments, to operate, and so on and so forth. Changing the representation based on zonal levels. Instead of having, then you have you have zonal legislature, which will be bigger, slightly bigger than what it is now at that local level. Then at the national level, you have representations of it. So there could be so many options, But then we have to sit down and look at these options and let these options come out and put them on the table. So in so many ways, restructuring will definitely move the country forward. And again, it will make people to look elsewhere than looking into politics. Everybody thinks like he wants to be in politics. That's where the money is. In other places, people don't care about politics if you're not interested in politics. But what they care about is how politics affects their lives. Whether Trump wants to be president or want to be, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. But how does what they do there, how do they affect my life? That's why I get concerned. And if they don't affect my life effectively, I'll complain. And I'll take it to them. And they will listen. Yeah. So I think we have some long way to go. People should be a little bit ready to engage and talk with each other to be able to solve these problems.
We're still taking your calls, issues and events. This morning I'm looking at Djibouti, Nigeria. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Bala on the line.
Okay, Bala.
Because I have listened to your guest here, and he has spoken a lot concerning this country, Nigeria. But for me, I've been talking, and when you look at the present government of Muhammad Buhari, in really sincerely speaking, they took the right way. They took the right way. Everybody supports them. But coming back, how they are going is a questionable mark. Putting Nigeria, restructuring Nigeria, nobody knows. It's only God. And who are the people? We are talking about ourselves. What are our characters? The politicians themselves. Those who are ruling and those who will come. The same people, the same group. That's why we are talking. So where are we heading to, and how are we going to sort out all these misunderstandings? The way the present government is heading, nobody can tell the direction. Then we talk of corruption. Is the corruption taking the real unity of who are faulty? When we talk of fighting corruption, and when we talk of administration, looking at the government, looking at the state governors, look at the ministers and so on, just like what our guests have said. Many of them, they lack experience. They lack quality of leadership. Look at all the 36 states now, most of the governors are fighting. They are fighting themselves. Look at the judiciary, the executive, the lawmakers, they are fighting themselves. Is it supposed to be like that? We have to modify and change the system government.
Okay. All right, Bala.
Otherwise, how are we going to finish up?
Okay, Bala. All right, Bala. That's Bala. Still can take a few calls. Hello. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
I want to align myself with what the speaker is saying. I am Musa Isaiah from Naraiba and Dutse, Kaduna.
Okay, Musa.
Honestly, this country needs prayer and nothing more. Because with the way things are going right, just as guests have said, only God that will have mercy on our leadership the forces in order to put things right. If there should be a change, we must be honest, we must be sincere, we must be true to ourselves. We must change both the leadership and the followership from the bottom of our heart to take a step to change from our heart to begin to do the right thing, not to be speaking only a different thing and doing a different thing that will not solve situation in this country.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, I'll come back to the studio. I'll come back to our guests. But let me just another quick reminder of what the topic is all about: rebooting Nigeria. And rebooting Nigeria, that came up with Senator Tijani Ayagaura, Chairman Senate Committee on Federal Character and Intergovernmental Affairs. He was addressing some members of the legislature and, of course, the executive at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU, Angels, the need to reboot Nigeria. And he particularly said that legislature or members of the National Assembly and, of course, leadership in the country has a huge role to play in rebooting Nigeria. Yes, Sammy, I'll come back to you on what the senator was saying. But again, our responsibility as a people too, we mentioned that we talk about the need for that. We talk about the need for restructuring. We do have ideas on how to move Nigeria forward. The question again you asked about us is that just what are we doing? What are we putting in place to really be part of the change, the movement?
Mr. Senator, rebooting can start now. It cannot happen now because these guys who are there won't let rebooting happen. So, but rebooting could begin in 2019. We could trigger rebooting in 2019 by doing what we think as the people we should do. The people have power. If they tell a legislature member that you are not going back, he's not going to go back. I know that there are faults in the electoral system which can guarantee somebody who doesn't deserve to be there. But also we need to put so much pressure on INEC to do its job thoroughly. I was happy when they came up with the idea of transmitting results by electronically. I think that is a good idea. Yeah. But again, the voting is electronic too. You know what I'm saying? For it to work very well. So we don't want a situation when there have been rigging and ballot stuffing. Then you release that results electronically. So it doesn't solve the problem. It partially solves the problem. But we must insist that these elections must be done electronically. So if you push your button, your finger there, with your fingerprints on the card, you put it there, it registers, and it goes. So part of the problem is also that we must make the system work. So when people feel so aggrieved and so agitated that they need to put out their mind, you can be sure that that will be done. And when this system works effectively, then those who go into office will become more aware that there's an oversight over, on them, particularly from the people, and that if they mistake, they're not likely to go back. So I think that power must be restored. It must be put in place. Otherwise, these guys feel free to do whatever they like. They still have much money they want. They come and discuss it. Lawyers collect their own dismissal and go. It's not going to get anywhere until you have people who are selfless, who are passionate about public good. I want to see things happen. I want to see good environment. I want to see good schools. I want to see good hospitals where anywhere the people can come from anywhere in the world and be part of our system here, in terms of the quality of service we can produce. And then to create jobs, and many people are employed and carefully engaged, then issues of corruption and issues of all this banditry and all that will go down. So how are we going to create these jobs? How can we create jobs for our teeming young people? And again, the young people are even more docile than ever, because the future is theirs, and we're not hearing anything from them. They should be in government. They must fight. They must show, that they really want the future to belong to them. And they must help us to design that future, because it is them who will be in the future, not us. They have to take us there. But we see the young people not. All they do is pinging, in Facebook, You use Facebook to mobilize people for a cause. That's what I liked what Two-Face DB and his group were trying to do. There should be more of such things to let the government know that people are not happy and that this is what we want you to do for us. So people's power. If there has to be good rebooting, it got to start in 2019, and we need to help people do more civic education. We're going to be doing more of that with you. More civic education, more voter education, so that people can be empowered to secure that democratic space for themselves and let their voices and their interests be looked after.
There is need to reboot.
Yeah, but that's why I think it should start.
All right. And that will just be about the size of it on the program Issues and Events this morning. And we've been looking at rebooting Nigeria. And of course, we've had so many, ideas of rebooting coming in the form of restarting, restructuring, resetting, and all of that. Senator retreating and re-strategizing, all coming under the umbrella of rebooting Nigeria. Senator Tijani, our Chairman, Senate Committee on Federal Character and Intergovernmental Affairs, with that topic while addressing some members of the legislature and of course the executive arm at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Kuru in Jos. Well, for us Nigerians, rebooting, how this comes down to you. That will just be the size of it. Issues and Events this morning. I guess, Sami, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right. And my colleagues in the studios, Andana and Lola.